Hi everybody, my name's Miriam Divine. Welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about opening the pineal gland or opening the third eye, which are very similar, but not exactly the same. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about first, is your pineal gland is this teeny weeny gland about the size of a pea, maybe 2 peas, or a peanut, like a half a peanut or whatever, inside your brain. The third eye is a chakra area, which is very spiritual and you can actually sense a lot of stuff. It's actually inside of your head. It's not just in that one little teeny weeny spot. And that's kind of the difference. For opening our third eye, you need to work the pineal gland because it's very spiritual. When you open it and decalcify it, or whatever you want to call it, when it's finally opened and decalcified, then we can also, the third eye also talks about semi-hemisphere balancing and stuff like that. We're going to get into all that in this video. So I guess the easiest way is, where is the pineal gland? You know, we all know where half of our brain is, right? Right straight down the center, through the back. You got two halves of your brain, left side, right side, right? That's our brain. Well, the pineal gland is this teeny weeny thing. If you put your fingers up to your temples, right? And imagine that a line goes through your head. Then you put one finger up where they traditionally show the third eye and a lot of the stuff. And then one kind of down at the base of the skull where the skull hits, and then draw a line through there, straight down. And then we have here, so right in there, right is where your pineal, where those all intersect, is where this little pineal gland thing is. And it's a very spiritual gland. And a lot of times is when you're born, it's perfectly fine. That's why we all see ghosts or and stuff, interesting things when we're kids, and then it kind of closes up because it gets calcified, or closes up is what they want to call it. I don't know if it's real calcium or not, but that's how they think of it. Same with your skull. When you're a baby, your skull opens and closes. Well, it eventually closes permanently until you reopen it as a monk or something like that, doing different exercises. Actually, all your chakras work the exact same way. They all can be opened and closed in different varying degrees. And we're actually going to get over a little bit with that in this video. So how do we activate our pineal gland? How do we do this? Well, I like to think of it as massaging the little gland, massaging it. And we can't massage it with our fingers, right? You're not going to cut a hole in your head, reach back in there and go like this, or take a scalpel or something dumb, because you probably will be dumb at the end of that after you have no brain, because you only cut your head open. That's not what we need to do. What we're going to use is we're going to use energy inside of our body. And if you've studied like chakras and Qi Gong and stuff like that, Reiki, types of energy, well, we're going to use a type of energy inside of our body to do it. And all our bodies are made out of matter and energy, right? So we're going to take this energy and we're going to use the microcosmic orbit concept of energies. And this is a Chinese, I believe, concept, or India. A lot of the different cultures and spiritual systems use this type of energy movement. And energy itself is stored throughout your body. And there's major storage zones, and those are your chakras, right? And some of those chakras are open, some of them are closed, depending on, you know, giving and receiving, and depends how everything is. But one of the chakras is right behind or at the base where your sexual organs are, or right behind them at the base of your spine. It's in that area there. And you've got the root chakra, of course, below that. And you've got the sacral, which is your tummy region or triple burner, right above that. So that's where we're going to start, is in that area down there. And that's your traditional spot to start. It's almost like it completes a circuit. In fact, actually, there's 2 circuits that we're going to use. So as, I guess the best way to look at this is, I did a video on how to feel your energy and do body awareness in your side of yourself. That video is very important for this. And during that video, we used our hands. We used the palms of our hands for energy awareness and how to play with energy. I suggest you go watch that video if you are having a hard time doing body awareness and energy inside of your body. But we want to move our awareness. So a lot of times you have to close your eyes for this, because it's much easier without distractions from your eyeballs or your ears. If you're listening to like loud music and stuff, it's really easy to get distracted. Close your eyes and do that Buddhist like Zen meditation to relax, and put your awareness down at the base of your spine, in that right behind your sexual organs. Okay, and that's where we start. So, and then we're going to move that energy up our spines slowly collecting a little bit from each little chakra. As we go up, we're going to collect them all. Collect some from the root, from our sexual organs, from our, sacral, from our solar plexus, our heart, our throats, and then all the way up to our crown, and then our third eye. We're going to collect a little bit from everything. And this is the whole concept of the microcosmic orbit. And we're moving that energy up our back, over the top, and then down into our third eye. The complete microcosmic orbit, moving it over with our tongues up, and then move it back down our front to our sacral. And that's going to be important for the whole exercise, for the end of the exercise, moving it back down, because we don't want to leave it in the space up here, because it will cause issues like chi sickness and stuff like that. You don't want to do that, or energy leakage, that you just don't want to lose that energy. Whew, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Anyway, so here we are. Well, there's another component to energy, and it is emotions make energy. When you're calm and you're meditating, your energy's like this. Well, once you add emotions to your energy, it starts to vibrate, it starts to bounce a little bit, it starts to do different things, right? Well, that emotion gives vibration to our energy, which makes it excitable, which means it's better to move. It's easier to move around through the body, and it also can take more energy with it as it's more excitable, because it just holds more. So here we got. So the best way I found for this is using the secret smile. I also did a video on that if you want to check that out. But what it does is not only protects us from negative vibrations and energies and emotions and stuff, but it also helps vibrate our energy. There are other ways to vibrate your energy besides just emotions, which emotions are probably the most purest. But you can go outside and you can do actual movements like Tai Chi, Qi Gong, where you're doing all these movements to move energy through your body, right? And you can do pressure on your body as well. If you really want to, you can actually run your finger or run a thing up your spine and over to actually get that body awareness. And I actually suggest that. If you're having a hard time for body awareness and trying to get your brain, is touch that spot. And you can move, like if I'm doing my hand, you can move your awareness into the palm of your hand, or if you're doing work into your sexual organs, don't make yourself that excitable, but you can put slight pressure down there, like a shiatsu or something, and that will help put your awareness in that section of your body. And actually, one of the techniques for working in sacral, I had a friend, he said, put a belt on and stuff, like a tennis ball in your belt, and walk around all day, or a sock or something, because that will really put a lot of awareness into your sacral area. So, and you can do this with different things. I honestly think that little dot on a lot of people's heads, it actually puts their awareness there and helps keep their third eye activated. So we have this movement of energy. And well, the pineal gland massaging of this energy, what we're going to do is, of course, we'll move that energy up, and then we'll put that energy in our head space or our third eye space, and then we're going to massage the pineal gland. And there's two different methods I found for it. One is like a pulsing. It's almost like a heartbeat. You could almost feel like a pulse with your heart in the third eye, or in that pineal gland. It's not really the third eye, in the pineal gland. You can feel a pulse, and you can do it for your whole head as well. But just for the pineal gland, it actually massages that little P a little bit. Well, the other method is taking that same energy and sloshing it from side to side across the hemispheres of your brain through the pineal gland. So, yeah, you might even move your head side to side like I'm doing, because I can actually feel the energy going slopping back and forth in my head. And what that does is, not only does it work your pineal gland, but it also does balancing in the semi-hemisphere meditations and stuff like that. But for true, you want to pulse just the pineal gland, maybe just a little bit around it. And that will help open your third eye. And if you have to do a crank, you see a lot of times people talk about rubbing their forehead or cranking like this. That's like little gear. Imagine a gear here, and they're almost doing like a spiral on top of the pineal gland. And this is the gear that's making the spiral. You know, you got to get gear. I don't know how to make my hands work here. You got a gear going like this. Well, this one spins like this. I don't think I can do them simultaneously. But you get the concept that the gear turns this gear that spins and spirals around your pineal gland. However, I found when you're doing spirals, that's good for storing energy if in an area, in a chakra and stuff. And this, we're just trying to open it up and get it massaged and working. Okay? So, and we're going to use that spiral technique differently at the end of the exercise. So there's other things, like we talked about movement and the gears and pressure. You can also use sound for activating different centers in your body. You know, you got the one for your sacral, one for your solar plexus, etc., etc. The one for our third eye or head space is 852 hertz. And I will play some of it here. I know it'll probably be annoying because it's just a pure tone. You can actually pick cute little music or whatever that has this in it that helps you meditate or something better than just pure tone. But the pure tone actually gets you into it more. So that's enough of that pure tone. Hopefully I got it right in the video. So we can use that sound will also help vibrate that area and help open and activate that spot. And you can listen to that sound during your whole meditation. You can listen to, other music, as long as it's not a different hertz music that's putting you somewhere else. Like if you do 174 or something, you're going to be down in your root and you're not working in this area at all. So you have to be up near the 852. And it's 852 hertz, but we're all slightly different. So you might actually, if you get attuned enough to feeling energy, your 852 might be a little bit higher up in your head. And so you might have to come down to like 850 or something to bring it down more into here. Or you might find that you're way low. You might have to bring it up a little bit. The crown's pretty close with the 9 something. I believe it's 924. I don't know. Anyway, the crown is a different one. So, and you'll notice the difference if you actually pay attention when you listen to the different frequencies, where it is in your body. So sound is very important as well for activating our energy. So after all that blabbing, here is the actual technique that we're going to do. And we're going to do a special breath for this technique. It's called the Taoist breath versus the Buddhist breath. Buddhist breath's great for calming our brains down and relaxing and stuff like that. And that's where you breathe in your diaphragm. And when you breathe in, your diaphragm goes out. When you breathe out, your diaphragm goes in. That's the Buddhist breath. It's wonderful for calming. And in fact, if you want to do some of that before we begin this exercise, that's perfectly fine. Do that. Relax yourself. Calm down a little bit. Because you don't want to have a scattered brain. Because once we have a scattered brain, then we have a hard time using our will to move and pull the energy around through our bodies. So the other piece that I suggest doing is the secret smile exercise, which aligns our chakras. It lines up all our chakras with very positive energy, opening positive energy. And so this will help activate all of your different chakras in your body if you do the secret smile and run the full 5-minute exercise or whatever that exercise is. It will help you get to the point. Okay, so we're going to do the microcosmic. Once we get that, we're going to do the Taoist breath when we do our actual exercise. And we're going to start, like I said, down at the base of our spines and right behind our sex organs. And the Taoist breath is in reverse of the Buddhist breath. So when you breathe in, instead of letting your diaphragm, you're still breathing into your diaphragm, but you're pulling in your stomach, and you almost, when you do this, you'll feel like a surge roll up your spine a little bit in the middle. Well, if you continue, you can pull that all the way up across over to our crown and then pull it right back down into our pineal gland area and just let it sit there. And we'll do that a few times. Right, until you can feel like a little bit of a buzz inside of there. It might take you a little bit longer if you haven't been practicing for a while, but you should almost have like a little buzz that you feel in that third eye space when you're done with this, right? Or in that pineal gland area. In the whole, you might get the whole head, you may not. If you do a lot of this, and we're going to worry about this at the end, you'll actually get what is known as Qi sickness, and you'll have to actually dump that energy back out, or you will feel ill. So once it's there, we're going to pulse it. And this is the actual, you might have to do 5-10 minutes. I don't know how much energy you're going to need to pull up for your Qi, but depends on your skill level. You'll pull your energy up. And then once it's there, you'll hold it in that space. And if you have to put a little pressure or turn on your music or whatever to do this, I find that if you put too much pressure, like if you go, how was it, like this, if you do this, it kind of diversifies it versus it getting into your pineal area if you touch all 4 centers. So I find if you touch one and then maybe just roll it back and then touch, kind of like at the base of the skull. And that kind of puts us in our frame. And then if you have to, just pulse it. And it's like a heartbeat. You can do it with your heartbeat if you want to, if that helps. And just massage that pineal gland area. Now, if you find that that's very difficult for you, because it could be, right? Because your energy awareness and ability to move energy in your body may not be, it might be easier for you to do the slosh technique, right? Pull your energy over to your left side of your brain, and then pull it over to the right side. You might even tip your head, pull it to the right side of your brain, and let it run through the pineal gland as you do it. All right? This is a little bit easier technique than the actual pulsing, but eventually you should probably learn how to do all 3 of the techniques. And the other one is you can do a spiral, right? You can do the whole gear, or you can just spiral it around in that area, both directions, right? I'm just using my finger here because whatever, but if you actually see me, if you pay attention when I'm spiraling in it, a lot of times when I do my meditations, you'll actually see how I'm actually going in a little spiral as the energy is kind of rolling around in my body. And a lot of times you'll see a lot of people doing this when they're meditating and stuff. That's because the energy in their body is moving them around. They're not necessarily moving their body. The energy is moving their body for them. So that is that piece of the technique, right? And we do that for however long you deem necessary. It can be a couple minutes. It can be a half hour. It can, a lot of times because we're all beginners or we're beginners, a focus is not good enough to hold that for 30 minutes or more. And that will get better with time the more you practice. So just do it for so much time every day. And it's really not about the amount, it's about consistency. So if you're going to do it 2 minutes a day, 5 minutes, that whole exercise, then do it every single day, 5 minutes for 30 days, 90 days, whatever it's going to take. And eventually you'll start feeling the difference around you. You'll start seeing different things around you as your pineal gland decalcifies and your third eye opens. And you can start seeing more in the spiritual realm. Now, at the end of our exercise, and this is actually very important, do not forget this, is we don't want to leave the energy in our pineal gland. I mean, you can leave some energy there because it has to have energy, but we don't want to leave an excess of energy in there. And that's why it's a lot of times you see like yogis and stuff wearing the turbans because they're trying to hold the energy from exploding out through their crown because they've opened their crown. Well, the same thing happens with your third eye and your throat and your heart and all these areas that you have energy leakage. And you want to not lose that energy for the next time you have to practice and you have to rebuild it back up. So our best bet is to store that energy. And inside of the body, the best place to store energy is in our sacrals. That is like a vast well of storage. We can pack an ocean of energy into our sacrals, but you can't do it into your solar plexus. Your solar plexus can hold a finite amount. Same with your throat. The finite spaces, like your sex organs, your solar plexus, your throat, the connection between the crown and above, these are very packed energy, and they seems like they're so dense you can't pack more into them. Your open spaces like your heart, and your sacral, and your root, and your third eye can hold so much energy because they're a little bit more receptive. They can hold more of the energy. However, you'll still have more leakage through your brain power because you do a lot of thinking, you do seeing, smelling, hearing, talking. All this stuff up in this area will leak a lot of energy. So your best bet is at the end of your exercise, and if you have to do the whole orbit again, instead of going back to our pineal gland, instead, take that energy with your tongue up. This is very important. Tongue to the roof of your mouth. Take it back down and put it into your belly, right in around your belly button. And if you have to, take your hands, put them on your belly, and just hold them there, or you can rotate them. Yeah, they talk about the navel contemplators and stuff. But the real idea is to create a spiral inside of your belly, and I like to go 33 one direction, 33 the other direction, and imagine it like a little galaxy just slowly spinning and sucking up all of that energy and storing it into your sacral. And if you do this at the end of every energy exercise you do, every time you'll have more storage of energy that you can use for the next exercise. And you'll actually get strong. Your energies will get more and more powerful the more you do this and storing your energy for a later date. So that's the whole exercise. So in a real quick 30-second nutshell, you balance yourself, you get your chakras activated, you bring the energy up your spine. It doesn't have to go through or on the outside of your spine, doesn't matter at this point. You grab just a little bit from everything, bring it up over through your crown, down through this section, into your pineal gland, store it there for a little bit, do your energy pulsing, your sloshing, your spiraling, until you get to the point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. And then you bring all this down through your awareness at the end and put it back down in your sacral and store it down there. And give yourself, we're all different. Some of you are going to get this in a day. It's going to be that simple because your energy channels are open. Some of you are going to find you have energy constriction stuff and it takes 90 days. It takes a year to do it for some people. I don't know how many of us or how many of you it will take longer, but with a lot of consistency of practice, it's not the amount. You might go 24 hours one day, but then if you don't do it for the next 6 months, it ain't going to do much. But if you do it 5 minutes every day, consistently for an entire year, you're going to be farther ahead than the person who just does it for 24 hours once a year. So that is how we open our pineal gland. Now, I didn't talk about all the different effects that happens when you open your third eye. I'm sure you can find those YouTube videos out there and all that kind of stuff on opening your third eye and why it's important for seeing, intuition, seeing spirits and, emotions and actually reading the universe and all that kind of stuff. That's the interesting part. The massaging the pineal gland is kind of boring. You're just opening it up and getting it activated. And that helps open up our third eye space, which is in our head. So that's where we're at. So if you have any questions, please, I know there's probably a million questions here, comment below, ask the question. I will try to answer everything in the best way I know, probably rambling on for like another 20 minutes on you, but I will answer the question below. And if you like this type of content, of course, check out my other videos because they're interesting just as much as this video, but like and subscribe and you'll get future content when I create the next set of videos. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.